Hi everyone, Sean here for the WorldCupNow.com, bringing you your Barclays Fantasy Premier League tips for Game Week 22. This week I'm going to be going through a wildcard team that is all injuries, so I'm going to try and make it out of everybody who has been injured, just came back from injury, or is currently injured, just to show you what kind of team you can build with players that are actually out and actually still have a decent team, which is kind of funny. Also, I'm going to go into the mid-league table that I did. I posted about this about 6 game weeks ago, and I've also renewed it for this coming game week, game weeks 22 to 29. So this one, part of it is a video that I recorded last week that I forgot to include in last week's video, so that'll be this week. And I'll go through what I have for this week moving forward into game week 29. How I think you should position your team if you haven't already used your wild card. I know that a lot of fantasy managers, myself included, will be hitting the wild card button Saturday at kickoff. So I'm just going to flip the screen and we'll get into it and we'll go from there. Okay, so before I get into the video that I wanted to post last week about the leading up to now for the mid-table, I just wanted to touch on something briefly. You'll notice that this isn't my team, nor would I wouldn't have the courage to name my team the Feather Rufflers, and nor would I have the audacity to have a pink and blue kit. So my respect goes out to this gentleman. He's in my mini league, the Pinch Grip Patriots. Now, I won this mini league in the inaugural year, so I have earned a little respect, but I don't feel that I'll have enough respect until I regain that title again. So the title former champion is in my pocket, but it's not something I like to swing around. But that being said, I am open to some trash talk. It always instigates a little bit of a challenge in the week. You want your players to do well. It kind of gets under your skin a little bit better and kind of lights a fire under your butt to kind of kick some ass. Now, Jake has been kind enough to go in with a wager of a pint. It's a friendly wager, a pint, but there's always a little bit more to a wager. There's the respect. There's the trash talking. You know, you want to make sure that you kind of come out on top because you don't want to be on the receiving end of some trash talk. And trust me, in my Pinch Grip Patriots mini league, there are a few people who try really, really hard to trash talk you, but they're just not good at it. And you just think, if you could just improve your trash talking, then that would be fine. I might respect you a little bit more. But until you have either the title former champion or reigning defending champion, well, then you're not really going to have my respect until that time. Now, what the wager is going to be is for 1 pint, and the rules are very simple. It is just total game week points come the end of Monday, bonuses included, injuries and whatnot. Now, over the last 3 game weeks, I've been able to claw back some points because Jake does currently sit 6th and I am currently in 7th. He does have a 3-point cushion, but I have added to his cushion because I actually brought in a player who you can see on the blog if you want to get some competitive intelligence at a -4. So he currently has a 7-point lead, and that's why I chose just to go for a point-for-point total for a pint of good old tasty Guinness, Strongbow, or this gentleman, God bless him, in his feather ruffling purple and blue taste. He does love a London Pride, so we'll see what happens, but I'll let you guys know what happens after the game week and maybe even post some pictures from the pubbery. Now, that being said and taking care of that, I'm going to move into, as I said, the video that I wanted to post last week. So I will cut it and then come back and then I'll go over the game week predictions that I have for game week 22 to game week 29 and how you should set up your wildcard team, because I have a feeling that if you're watching this, if you're breathing, you're a fantasy manager who actually actively manages their team, then you're probably going to be using your wildcard next week. So here's the next video and I'll post into the next one. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I did do a post a while back. I think it was maybe 6 or 7 game weeks ago, where I saw the table by the new year, and I have them side by side here, and you can see that the top of the table is close but not exact. I did have Arsenal falling to third, and they're currently in first by 1 point. I also had City leading the table, and they're out by 1 point, so we were close there. But the top four were consistent with City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. The arrangement, however, was not. I guess I had a little bit higher hopes for United, but they've faltered a little bit. And going through the middle of the table, and one thing that stands out is Hull. I had them pegged at fifth from the bottom come the new year, but right now they're actually right in the middle of the table at 23 points with Aston Villa, who I had predicted were going to do a little bit better, but with the absence of Benteke and some of their injuries, their goal output, has kept them down a little bit, but we'll see going forward. And then for the bottom three, I had Fulham, Sunderland, and Crystal Palace. Now, I see that going to be a lot different moving forward, but as it stands right now, it's Sunderland, West Ham, and Crystal Palace. It is a pretty tight race down there. I mean, 3 points. Basically, Sunderland got 3 points, and they'd be right back in it. So it is a pretty tight race in both sections. It'll be good to see what's going to happen in the second half. We'll see what happens later on. I may do a moving forward time frame from the end of game week 23, which is the last game week you can play your wild card, and move forward from there about 6 game weeks. But without doing that and only looking at it briefly, I know that Southampton and Tottenham are going to have some good fixtures starting after the game week. Alright, so we're back now. That video did get cut off. It was to say game week 23 at the end, but it does show you how it does give you a little bit of an advantage to understand who's going to have a good run of fixtures and other statistics that you can use in picking your teams. Now, I've done one for game weeks 22 to 29, and this will be on this post. So if you're watching this post on YouTube, just go over to my link in the description below, which will take you to this page, and you can scroll down here, and once you get to this little blurb here, Premier League predictions, it'll open up an Excel file, which I already have open, and here it is. It is very similar to the one that I had before. It has all the pertinent, but I feel, statistics in terms of fixture, I wouldn't say fixture fixing, but figuring out who's going to be having good fixtures. And there's a lot of good information that you can pull from here. Now, I've done so, and I know in the last one I did a plus minus based on goal differential, but this one I'm just going plus or minus, and kind of the expected form over their next 8 games, so game week 22 to game week 29, and then I'll do another one game week 29 and on. But as you can see, now this is based on statistics. As I said in my post, it isn't based on gut feelings. I have a feeling in terms of my gut. Some of it isn't going to be right. So for Arsenal to take 7 out of their next 8 games when they face United and Liverpool might not happen. Same with West Ham only picking up 3 out of the next 8. I think they probably do have some more fixtures that they can win, and moving forward with the presence of Carroll, I think that will be a great addition. Now also too, the turmoil that's going on with Southampton, it is very distracting. Even if you are a professional athlete, it is hard to come into work and do your job when you don't know if your work is going to be there tomorrow. You put that into perspective. How would you feel as an employee going into work, not knowing if your work is going to be there the next week? So to say that all is going to be well for Southampton, even if things do work out, it is going to be a distraction for them for the next little while until everything is sorted out and the dust settles. I do have included some wildcard players. Now, I've only generalized just because I don't know who you guys have in your team, how much value you've accumulated to this point, because there are some teams who have like a team value of 112, which means they can afford to have a really good midfield, and they can afford to have better players than I have. So that's just circumstantial, and that's particular to each individual fantasy manager. Now, this is the way I see it. Now, I should have edited this because I didn't see that it says by the new year, but this is by game week 29. I still do think City, Liverpool, and Arsenal and Chelsea will be in the top. Everton, I think, is going to do well. United, I do believe, are going to find their footing. Southampton may falter, so I'm going to probably switch Southampton to Tottenham. I think Tottenham are going to have a really good run of fixtures, and that's between game week Spurs are 23 to 29. So pretty much after game week 23, where they face Chelsea, they're going to go Swansea, Villa, Norwich, Southampton, Everton, and Hull. That is a really good run of fixtures, and you want to compound that with Sherwood because he's done a great job getting in there. And you also may want to think defensively too, because the Spurs have kept 2 clean sheets at home. So that's another thing you want to look at too. Now, based on the stats and to that point of defenders who you want to keep, on your wild card, what I've done is taken a few suggestions, but with these stats, you can see that Arsenal, Everton, West Ham, and the Spurs have kept 9 clean sheets this year so far. And then you have Chelsea, City, and Southampton with 8. So those are teams that you're going to want to select defenders from. Even if they, do 80% or 70%, in the back half of the season, that's still going to be a good point total. So look for a Mertesacker or a Koscielny for Arsenal, maybe even Chesney in net. Obviously, Howard, Coleman, Baines. Distin is back from injury as well for Everton. West Ham, maybe Reed when he gets back. I don't know. I'll have to check to see if he's back from injury. I'll do that in a moment when I go into my injury wildcard team. But, consider West Ham. And also with the Spurs too, you've got Walker who's injured, Vertonghen who's injured, but you also have Dawson and Churches too, who are good considerations. There's also City and Southampton. Again, you can take a look at players for that team. And then looking here also too, it's fairly obvious, but goals scored, you've got City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Everton. And also Man U as well too. So all players that you want to have. Right now, I would try and stay away from Southampton just because of the uncertainty that's going on there, as I said. So I'm just going to switch over, and we'll get that all-injury wildcard team just as very, very puntish, but just something to look at. Alright, so just switched over here to the Premier League transfer site and set up a very puntish, outlandish kind of team. But it illustrates a good point, and I kind of surprised myself when I put this through. Now, we'll go through and down, and again, I apologize, I can't do it in the formation format, but we'll just kind of work through here. And if you look at my keepers, I have Begovic on Stoke, Vorm on Swansea, and then I have a back line of Walker, Debuchy, Evra, Ivanovic, and Agger, all very high-quality players. Well, I wouldn't say all of them, but we'll say 4 out of 5. And then you have Ramsey, Toure, Barkley, Nolan, and Much. 4 out of 5 again there, very good quality players. Now I've included Aguero just because he recently just came back from injury. I wanted to have him in there. But then I have Rooney and Osvaldo. Now, taking a look at this, you still got 0.1 in the bank, but that's a good team. Like if these guys weren't injured, it's not the best team because it doesn't have Suarez, but you have Aguero, Rooney, Ramsey, Toure, Walker, Ivanovic, and Evra. I mean, that's a good team. Could you imagine having this for your wildcard team? You just plug it in, and then these guys go on runs like we'll see maybe with Aguero. He came back from injury, got a goal. So that was midweek, but we'll see what he does on the weekend. But can you imagine, these guys come back and they tear it up just because they were injured and they got rested and now they want to make an impression. It's it's something to consider, especially with Ramsey and Toure. Ramsey was scheduled to be back this weekend, but Arsene Wenger, as I said in the post on the site, has kind of pushed that back to the next game week. So that'll be good for getting them at a lower value. But again, you kind of want to just give them a game week to see how they do coming back from injury. So again, that is my puntish wildcard. Thank you for watching. I know this is a long video. It did get a little bit lengthy, but I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I will see you next game week.